serca podchodzi mi lód. Nie tędy droga na pewno.
Hello there, how's it going? Yeah, today we're here to talk about the truth of whether right or wrong exists. Now, I know this is kind of like the first video, so bear with me. It's gonna be pretty off the road. So, today we're gonna be talking about justice, which is basically right or wrong, the conflicting sides between right or wrong. Everything we know so far about this topic is vague and is rather not simplified, yet people express it as if it's more vivid, and its conceptualization is rather visible and easy to see. So basically what I mean is that justice is basically some form of right or wrong that is conceptualized. Like if we have various examples throughout society that prohibit certain notions which are termed as wrong, and whereas certain notions are termed as right. So if you help someone, you are right, but if you don't help someone and you're harming someone, you are wrong. So basically in this video we'll be debunking some stuff. Now this video is not gonna be a complete analysis of right or wrong, or rather it's just gonna be the formatting and explanation. Like again, this video might not be a total vivid explanation, but I will try my best to explain whether right or wrong really does exist or not. Now we have to understand, or to rather comprehend, the strengths of justice, i.e. its mechanics and outer cocoon of meaning. For the origin, we humans can say that the orientation of justice has never really been clear. It can date back to parts of our origin, or let's say this our nexus. For 100 of millenniums, a human's foundation of justice has changed over these chapters in the battle of history. So far, modern humans have led the foundation of laws to constrain and elude tyranny and the misleadings of power. But the real question is, which laws have been placed in the placeholders of human politics? For example, we can always fathom the consequences we may be driven into doing that are again against the norms of society. Like killing is illegal and stealing or stealth is illegal, but only to this grouped assortment called society. Which brings us to this next mode, or short gist of a motion story, or bubbles, or rather diagram of justice. Now, according to us, while we may have a different strength of justice to utilize in a xylophone of laws, we must always have the defined narratives in retrospect to the society. Whilst coming back to the precedented instances or examples, you may notice a variation in perspectives. While your companion may think stealing should be completely eradicated as a whole, you may have a rather different and broader view in the spectrum. And then you shall say at your speech, stealing shall be permitted as long as the thief or the guilty needs sustenance and must be pardoned. In other words, the guilty should be pardoned at specific instances. Now here's the twist, and really I know so far that you people would be objecting like you could be wrong, which brings us to my next segment, where you could be wrong. To prove otherwise is somewhat illicit to distinguishing the origins of the cosmos. It never began to end to begin, and so forth. It is more like a endless loophole, like it's a endless cycle. Or did it? But my point in this whole 3D equation is there is no true origin or definition of justice, as contrary to the first stanza of this animated frame within a film. Right is always conceptualized to be in a rather hypothetical switchblade of balance with correlation to wrong, yet it has always shown symptoms of metamorphing to a contradictory degree of wrong, and vice versa. The above example can always be frowned upon for its eerie veracity yet realistic characters. Stealing is wrong, but for sustenance, such as the extent of food or consumption, can be formatted as right. Like, for example, you were to steal food because you're desperately hungry. So, is that right or is that wrong? Is the real question. This can inversely be inferred as the justice morphosis theory, I guess. Now, experiments of the articles within the ecosystem of the internet does show criterions and circumstances related to my or your hypotheses. Now, the views on the basis of philosophy. Now, there are two aspects of the coin here when we are talking about justice in terms of subjects. Here, I must move forth and transition onto the symphonic steps of philosophy. This ingredient in the recipe of just instances, or as you may elicit or refer for, as justice has more so of a lesser or inferior influence over philosophy. It is moreover as of a personal acquaintance of oneself where perspectives and narratives may as well come to play as is with the chord composition and chemistry of philosophy. Again, with the examples, you may have a different understanding of justice for your own young child or matured seed arsenal of philosophy. And then we transfer to the views on the basis of psychology, as the sphere of justice transfers its essence to its sister companion or shared being of psychology. The principles do not change, and yet they do, for even synonymous matter have differing syntaxes. The chemistry remains similar, but the message mutates to a different meaning. A more subjective topic to revisit after a long tenure of conflicting ideals. It is to do with the intent or to play with the game where the characters are always human. There is no personal but of a corporate facade of ideas. Again, this video is always based on the understanding of humans and not other species. On the place of perspective for which I must advocate for, it can mean being within the mindset of oneself. As the saying goes, deploy the hormonal army of yours at someone's shoes, which is a derivative from a famous child's fable. More from the aspect ratio of the symbolics of perspective is the form of narrative of oneself's view of justice by another creature in a third person instance, which is not done quite often, but it should. In order to begin a new chapter of veracity with the utilization of the same switchblade, what if I were to tell you that you cannot be pardoned nor punished? Would that be truly just? Coming and reckoning on to the phase of verdict, it is rather improbably probable, as is illegally legal or vice versa. The verdict can be left aside to asphyxiate because the only way to prevail is to not at all. Place. Halt, for this is the segment to behold to whilst you can. The video has been officially concluded with the conclusion. If you were to be concluded with the conclusion of this video, you already have. But if you were to ask me or validate with me to trade in the currency of opinion, there is yet none at this premise, which is what brings me or attracts me to the matter of your inference or interpretation of as for my question. I, as an individual creature or with consciousness in this harmony of life, would ask and fathom for your opinion, perspectives, and narratives of this short minuscule of a motion picture. And as I must always say, thanks for watching. See you in another reality.